All right, so there has been a claim that the Quran is wrong because it states that the Quran states that bones are created first and then the flesh. And they use P.Z. Meyer's name to justify that. The P.Z. Meyer, who is a scientist, is claiming that the Quran is wrong, therefore it is wrong. However, I had a sit-down discussion with P.Z. Meyer, and he set the record straight after looking at the verse properly. We looked at it, and he has basically set the record straight. He does not see any scientific contradiction between modern science and the Quran, and we're going to play that for you today. But let's look at the claim here. I'm going to play this videotape for you, and we could see where this all originated. There's this impromptu debate, I guess, he had with some people in which he was really given wrong information. Based on that, he made certain conclusions, but he never actually looked at the verse, doesn't have it in front of him, no proper analysis is being taken. But let's just take a look. Let's see what happens.
The bones come first and then the flesh and the muscles.
Are you, is that what the,
I'm not saying it. Can you
is
are
that
you
what,
sure?
is that what the Quran specifically says?
Absolutely. This is exactly what the Quran says. Chapter
then
23.
Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because
What? You just demonstrated what? Again?
demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong.
Wow. What did P.Z. Myers just say? You just demonstrated that the Quran is wrong because the Quran is saying first you have the bones and then the bones are covered with flesh? Just to be sure.
Just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated. Are you? Is that what the?
I'm not saying it. Can you? Are you sure?
Is that what the Quran specifically says?
Absolutely. This is exactly what the Quran says. Chapter 23.
Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong.
Okay.
Wow.
Quran is quite unique in describing those stages because the
stages
bones are formed.
Okay, so the problem is very obvious here. He actually has never seen the verse at this point, He's being given information, and if the guy's wrong, of course. Adnan's a little bit in error over here. So based on that, they're both trying to win a discussion, win a debate, and based on this clear, it's deception, because you could see he's just trying to come up with answers and trying to win the discussion. So a lot of these people are now making claims. You see, the Quran is wrong, as you see, making all kinds of videos making these claims. But however, what needs to happen here, we need to sit down with P.Z. Meyer, show him the actual verse, show him that the Quran, the verse in question here, actually, if you look at it closely, it says nothing about what's created first or what's created last. There is no chronology given. So the verse actually says we close the bones as flesh. Okay, which no chronology is given as far as what is created first. Bones was created first, flesh, bone, nothing's there. It's all being read into the text. So, so anyways, let's we had a sit down discussion with them. Let's take a look at it real quick over here. And it's over here. And we showed him at 43 minutes of this tape. You can listen to it on my YouTube page. We showed him the verse. I showed him exactly what I just showed you. What was created first or last is nowhere in the text. And so let's see what he says now.
So thus far we've covered embryology and something a little bit on bees. In your view, in either of these, is there anything that is glaringly unscientific as per the Quran?
This is a very weird thing to ask me, because, as I said at the beginning, the Quran is not a science textbook.
And I would agree with you on that. But insofar that it gives general descriptions, if we like, of things in nature, like was embryology and bees, is there anything unscientific with regards to those?
Let's see how to put this, because I feel like you're trying to trap me into
No.
the Quran as a scientific source, and I would disagree strongly with that. That I would say that, okay, Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass then is a scientific treatise. And I would say, well, there's nothing in that book of poetry that contradicts in any blatant way science. But that
Hmm.
doesn't make it a work of science.
Okay, we can buy that. All right, so as you can see, he walked back that. So the deception here is clear. The guy, when he made that statement in the discussion, he never actually saw the verse himself. We never had a sit-down discussion where we went over it with him and showed him that. So, but the people who want to spread misrepresentations against Islam just took that one statement of P.Z. Myers and they spammed the internet claiming a scientist here is claiming the Quran is wrong. So, thank goodness. And he has actually produced a video after this discussion. He did go through this. Now that he was properly educated, he did produce a video, and you can find it on his page, which is right over here. Let me get that for you. Just go ahead and Google that. And he actually paid a very good compliment to the Quran. You see, P.Z. Myers, his new revised position is a very reasonable position. I really like it. So the whole claim about scientific error is no longer there. He's no longer making that claim. However, he does say Muslims should be open to that type of thinking, that they should be open to the fact that maybe this book is in error and it's okay. Fine, no problem. Where P.Z. Myers' objection now is claiming that this is a scientific miracle, that nobody could have known this. Okay, fine, no problem. We're not going to dispute that right now. Let's just all agree that to disagree or whatever. So no, I'm okay with that. And he also pointed out that the whole issue about that the Quran was copied and plagiarized from Galen and Aristotle, that is also all gone. If you look at his latest video here, he no longer positively asserts that. Well, what he says is something very reasonable. He says, listen, this looks like it is consistent with what the people believed at that time, which is actually correct, and it's right. Okay, cool. So that's a very reasonable approach. And this is what Hamza Zortis was actually pointing out to in the multi-layered approach, that the Quran not only agrees with the embryology of today's time, but it also agrees with the embryology of that time. So it has this multi-layered approach to it. So let's listen to his now new revised version of embryology. Let's listen to it.
Muhammad has done here is he's plunked down soundly on the side of Aristotle. That's the main good takeaway point I would take from this, is that he endorsed this idea of progressive development of the tissues. And it wasn't just growth. It wasn't just poof, you planted an embryo and then it grew. That there was all kinds of changes that had to occur over time. So that's a good point. I think that is a good message that he was giving in here in his very, very short abbreviated message about embryology. And that's about all you can take away from it, because the rest of this is vague. This is not detailed. To say that it is accurate is stretching the term accurate. It really is so general and vague that it really doesn't mean much. Now, another point that the IERA was trying to make was that, well, Muhammad couldn't have known any of this, that he didn't have a gigantic library full of books that would have allowed him to look into this, and he didn't have a microscope, and he didn't have access to embryos, so how could he possibly know this except by the power of his divine connection to Allah? Okay, the problem is that this level of information was kind of the common currency of the academic world at the time.
Okay, so let's conclude this. So basically, where he objects to as far as accuracy in terms of this is a scientific miracle, this is where the objection is. But what's good, he drops a scientific error claim that the Quran is in error because bones and flesh are formed together. That's not in the Quran. It just doesn't exist there. He saw it, and thank goodness he has revised his position. So when you watch this video, which he has now, which he just produced a couple of months ago, there's no more claim like that, because obviously he was given wrong information. And based on that, he made certain conclusions. What's also good, the whole issue that this book was copied from Galen, that canard has also been dropped. He looked at that. So basically, he produced his video after our discussion. Looks like he went through this and revised his position on embryology, which is all great. That plagiarism claim is gone. It doesn't have any merit, which is also very good. And he does recognize that there's good benefit in the verse, in the sense like it does agree with a scientifically correct information at that time. However, that doesn't make it a miracle because he could have borrowed that information from other sources like Aristotle. And okay, fine, we can have these type of theories, and he says, listen, you should be open to the fact that, okay, look, it's an error. Look, why can't you just assume that this was something borrowed? All these are definitely things we can definitely talk about. And then we can maybe show you later on why we believe that it actually isn't borrowed from Aristotle, but this is what the Quran is actually indeed a scientific miracle. That discussion we'll have at a later time. But what's important to understand now, those people, like what you just heard on the videotape earlier, they now need to revise their position. They need to be honest with people, and they need to say P.Z. Meyer no longer holds this position that the Quran is in error with science regarding flesh and bones being created at the same time. But something tells me that those people who spun this information are not going to do that. But anyway, that's my prediction. So thank you so much for listening to this.